last year, it was whatever could go wrong, did go wrong. Injuries, and injuries aplenty. Jayden Daniels getting hurt 3 separate times. They finished 5-12. Their defense was old. And now all of a sudden they have a very turned over roster, but still the same key pieces. Jayden Daniels, Scary Terry McLaurin, Bill Krosky-Merritt coming off a disappointing rookie season. And on the defense, they still have Deron Payne. They still have Frankie Louvu. But now they've Odafe. They've added K'Lavon Chaisson from the Patriots. And on offense, they've added some key offensive linemen. And at tight end, they've added Chig Okonkwo coming over from the Tennessee Titans. But this year, as we know, is all about the health of Jayden Daniels. Can he stay healthy after the elbow injury, after the hamstring injury, after the multiple injuries that he suffered that cost him weeks 3 and 4, week 8, week 10, 11, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18. What is year 3 going to look like for Jayden Daniels here? Because most of the Washington Commanders' success is going to rest on how their quarterback plays. So, Brad, I truly don't know what the hell to expect from Jayden Daniels. When he's healthy, he's pretty damn good. Like borderline top 10 quarterback, in my opinion. I think a lot of people went way too far with how great he actually was in his rookie season. Took the step back with all the injuries last year. He stays healthy, and by healthy, he plays at least 15 games. I think the Commanders are going to be in the hunt for a playoff spot. But, man, I got to be honest. I think this team, they are lacking some serious weapons. And I just don't think that they're going to have a lot of success in this division this year. They might be the worst team in this division. But then again, we might have a classic NFC East where everybody's between 7 and 11 wins. So anything could happen if they get the luck and the fourth quarter comebacks and the good fourth down conversions that they got in year 1 with Dan Quinn. Then all of a sudden it might look like 2024 again. They're a wild card team to say the least.
Yeah, look, they could resemble that division, really the NFC South, and what we've seen here in recent seasons. Cannibalization, right? A lot of mediocrity, no real dominant team because you have maybe some decent teams, and they may not overachieve, and they're not going to quite underachieve either. Look, I will say this. My gut feeling with the Washington Commanders is they will grossly underachieve this year. I think they're going to be lucky to win maybe 5 or 6 games. I think, the defense is still very much a work in progress, but I think they're going to be a bottom 5 unit overall. Now, I love the draft pick of Sonny Styles out of the Ohio State. I thought they got great value where they selected him top 10. I didn't anticipate him slipping that far. So I thought Washington got a steal of a deal there. But, yeah, it's all contingent on Jayden Daniels. And the fact that, he is an outstanding scoring duelist that also works against him. Because when he gets the open field, given a slender frame, if he's not sliding, if he's not dodging hard contact, if he's not getting his ass out of bounds and he's absorbing some tough hits, it could be exit stage left, and you could miss him potentially for several weeks, if not the entire season, to a gruesome injury. We don't, God forbid, hope that happens. But it's definitely within the range of outcomes based on his overall playing style. The other downside with this team, you look at the weapons on offense, and we're going to get to, some of the running backs here, and I think there is a nice value with one of the running backs on this roster in fantasy football circles, but it's largely unimpressive, which Corey Krosky-Merritt, who started off hot and then really tailed off as the season wore on. Rashad White, the veteran from Tampa now with Washington, former collegiate wide receiver. He's been decent in a pinch. And they got Kavon Island as well. So, I mean, they don't really have an extraordinary running back core, in my opinion. And then you look at the wide receivers. Okay, yeah, it's Scary Terry. A guy that certainly makes bones and spine shiver with the competition. And, he's a guy who may see 125, 130 targets out of necessity in this offense. But who is going to rise to the occasion and be a certifiable, consistent WR2? Is it going to be Antonio Williams? Is it going to be Diami Brown? Is it going to be a Van Jefferson? No, I don't think so again. I got Chig Okonkwo, the former Tennessee Titan, at tight end. He has always had a very fascinating skill set. in my estimation, though a little bit undersized for a tight end, but pretty good in the open field, can run sharp routes and clean routes consistently. But is he going to be a guy that gets you even 600 yards receiving? That may be a stab in the dark. I just think the cupboard is rather bare with the weapons outside of Terry McLaurin for Jayden Daniels, I should say. So as a result, I think this team is not really going to deliver on any kind of hype, and I don't think there's a whole lot of hype, to say the least. Like I said, 5-6 wins, it feels about right. And I think you are correct in your assessment that living in the basement is where they're going to dwell this year. I think that seems like a foregone conclusion.
310-840-4910. Your predictions on the Commanders season here in 2026. We're doing this as we've done most of the days so far here since OTA started, going in order of the NFL draft. So we hit the Raiders and then so forth and so on. So we're at pick number 7. That's why we're discussing the Commanders today. Yeah, again, I mean, on paper, they lost a lot of names that are like, ooh, wow, like those are big losses. I mean, Bobby Wagner, Hall of Famer. I mean, he just didn't have it last year. Marshawn Lattimore, what a bust of a trade. Yeah. Remember, they get him in 2024 and he barely could stay healthy, and then he was pretty terrible last year as well. Zach Ertz, who was good for them, but getting up there in age, they needed to get younger and they needed to shed salary cap. Like, they're a classic team, Brad, that overachieved and was way ahead of schedule, seemingly, in year one with their new franchise quarterback in 2024 when they draft Jayden Daniels and they go to the NFC title game. So now that they got hit with a dose of reality last year, like, how close are they? Closer to the 2024 team, or are they closer to last year? You tend to think that they're closer to last year. I kind of think that they're right in the I kind of think that they're right in the middle because, and here's again, and I was somebody that was saying we got to pump the brakes with the Jayden Daniels next Super Bowl champion quarterback here going into last year because of the skinny he is and how dangerous he was running out in open field and the lack of sliding. And ironically enough, he got hurt 3 times last year. Only the last one was actually him trying to run. And it wasn't even like it was his elbow. It wasn't even his legs. When he went to stretch out the ball and then it got caught up and twisted around and then he needed surgery on the elbow. So I feel like Jayden Daniels is pretty damn good. I think he's borderline top 10 quarterback. So, yes, everything you said about the weapons. I mean, Luke McCaffrey is a guy that's their second wide receiver right now. He's got 370 career receiving yards in 26 games. That's like 14 yards a game. Antonio Williams, 3rd-round draft pick out of Clemson. How does he do? That's another guy that had a great season 2 years ago. Last year couldn't stay healthy with a hamstring injury. Terry McLaurin, I mean, he went through that whole contract dispute a year ago, and then he was just flat out terrible and hurt last season, where he missed basically the first half of the year. Second half of the year, put up decent numbers. The season was already lost. And the running back, Bill Krosky-Merritt, who we all raved about, at least I did, as a guy that was going to have a dominant season at running back, and he got every opportunity, and he just wasn't very good. The weapons around Jayden Daniels aren't that good. I still think he can lift a lot of them up. If he's on the field and he's healthy, this team could be fighting for a playoff spot in December. I do ultimately think they will fall short, though. And then I think at the end of the season, we're going to be asking ourselves, is Dan Quinn coming back for a year 4 as the Commanders head coach? So without further ado, let's get to our 3-point stance here, Brad. Best fantasy value, player prop pick, and over-under team wins. When you look at this Commanders team, who on this offense do you think brings you the best fantasy football value?
Yeah, look, I'm going to zig while everybody else is zagging for Bill Krosky-Merritt. I'm going to go with his tag team partner in that backfield. Give me Rachaad White, a slightly cheaper right now, RB40. Krosky-Merritt at RB39 in early best ball drafts. It's 134.11 overall for White. I mean, both highly affordable guys. I just don't trust Krosky-Merritt in his overall skill set. A guy that's going to get supplanted in pass down situations, which is a strength of Rachaad White, as we've seen prior with his stint with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A guy last season with the Buccaneers, only a 36.2% opportunity share. I think this is going to be a full-blown 50-50 split with him and JCM. White, respectable, number 28 in yards created per touch. I had the second best catch rate among all qualifying NFL running backs at 88.9%, a decent 2.95 yank per attempt. None to scoff at there. None to scoff at with his missed tackle rate at 18.9%. Doesn't have a whole lot of pizzazz when you watch him, but can't catch, 3 to 5 balls in a game. I think this team's going to be playing from behind early and often. So that's why you're probably going to see him on the field a ton in the second half. And again, you're getting for nothing in the beer fuzzy rounds of your fantasy draft. And to put a cherry on top of the sundae here, Pat, the strength of schedule for fantasy running backs is 7th easiest with the Washington Commanders. So give me Rachaad White. And I got a feeling you're going to disagree, and you're going to go with the Zigger over the Zagger, aren't you?
Yeah, look, I fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I feel like we could be heading down Kyle Pitts territory here with Bill Krosky-Merritt, but I'm not giving up on my guy. I still think he brings a ton of value here. He played every game last year. So there's something to be said about that. Durability. And I know that at least in OTAs, they have undisclosed, might have been dealing with an injury. He was dressed for practice last Wednesday, a week ago, but was not participating in team drills. So I don't know what that's about. Again, it's early. That was at the end of May. Now we're in early June. I want to see what his status looks like in mandatory minicamp. But again, the guy was healthy all season long last year, and he ran for 805 yards and 8 touchdowns in a terrible season where Terry McLaurin was hurt for half the year. Deebo Samuel was washed up. Jayden Daniels was hurt for 75% of the season. And so they had nobody to really make you fearful of. And so teams are stacking the box and stopping the run. And they're like, all right, who's going to hurt us here on this Commanders team, especially in the games that Jayden Daniels was hurt in. Like, Marcus Mariota is really going to hurt us here. So teams were selling out on the run. And you mentioned a bit of an easier strength of schedule fantasy-wise for the Commanders this year, and teams that are probably going to give up some decent amount of points to running backs. And if Jayden Daniels is healthy, this all depends on it. We could throw everything out the whole window with the Commanders season if Jayden Daniels does get hurt again and misses more than 5-6 games. But I think that makes the run game, it makes the pass game more respectable. You have to worry about Jayden Daniels' legs. And then, in turn, that gives Bill Krosky-Merritt some chance to run. Yes, he's not a great pass catcher. He only had 9 catches on the entire season last year. But, again, he goes into the season as the starting running back, and he's RB 39. There's only 32 teams in the league. So, like, you're basically saying there's 7 teams, if not more, that their backup running backs you should take in front of the starting running back for the Commanders? I'm sorry. I think this is a buy low spot here for Bill Krosky-Merritt. There is some value on him, and there might be value on Rachaad White as well.
True.
You might get value on both of them, considering where their ADP is. But I'm going with Bill Krosky-Merritt because I think you need a traditional first and second down running back, and if Jayden Daniels is healthy, that's going to make this run game better. I'm going Bill Krosky-Merritt. All right, Brad. Season-long player prop pick. Who do you like here for the Commies?
I do like Jayden Daniels. I'm going to take the over on 4.5 rushing touchdowns. It seems like a low number, and I get it plus money right now at BetMGM at plus 110. Look, I do believe that Daniels is going to play at least the majority of the season. There is the risk of the nasty and gnarly injury, and maybe he succumbs at some point, but hopefully he can play 13, 14 games. That maybe is all that I need for him to get to 5 rushing touchdowns this season. He looked back to 2 years ago. He had 6 rushing TDs in that inaugural campaign. He only had 2 last year, but you look at 2025 when he was on the field, he averaged 8.3 rush attempts per game, averaged right around 1 of those per contest inside the red zone. Very healthy, 4.79 yards per carry. And he has a relatively easy strength of schedule as well for a fantasy quarterback. But in this instance, we're talking about him as a rusher. And as we just laid out with JCM or Rachaad White, they have the 7th easiest fantasy football strength of schedule for RB. So put it all together, correlate, synergize, and bring it all together. Jayden Daniels, I feel, will cross the chalk with his legs at least 5 times. He does that, plus 110. Count me in.
I like Chig Okonkwo. And again, Zach Ertz departs. I don't trust any of the other receivers on this team. I'm sorry. I don't trust Terry McLaurin to put up another 1,000-yard year. I mean, if he stays healthy, I don't see how he doesn't, but that's not something I would want to pick for the whole year. I don't trust Luke McCaffrey. I don't trust the rookie Antonio. I don't trust any of those guys. I do trust Chig Okonkwo for sure. Last couple of years in Tennessee, he had every season, all of his 4 seasons in Tennessee where he had at least 450 yards. The guy's never missed a game in his life. Knock on wood. Hasn't missed a game in his entire career. I don't know about his life. In his NFL career, he has yet to miss a game. He played all 68 possible games with the Titans, and the fewest amount of receiving yards he had was his rookie year at 450. He's the number 1 tight end. You know, they still have John Bates and Ben Sinnott. I mean, come on. Like those guys shouldn't be getting the ball in the end zone and in the red zone like Chig Okonkwo. So he's a proven tight end, good run blocker, good pass catcher, especially yards after the catch. Guy ran a 4.52 40-yard dash, so he's got good speed. And we know that Zach Ertz was a big favorite target of Jayden Daniels the last couple of years. So I'll go Chig Okonkwo over 475.5 receiving yards. He's durable. So if an injury happens, it's bad luck. But fewest receiving yards in any season was his rookie at 450. For the number 1 tight end with a lack of pass catchers elsewhere, yeah, I'll go Chig Okonkwo to go over his receiving yards. All right, Brad, finally, at our friends at BetMGM, the team total for wins for the Commanders this year, 7.5. Over or under for Washington?
Well, I've already shown my hand here. Cue the minute work. I'm going to live in the land down under on this. 7.5 is outrageously high, and the fact that it's juiced to the over makes it even more palatable. Taking the under here at plus 110. I think it's a 5-6 win team only. Again, the strength of schedule overall, the 4th hardest, according to Mike Clay at ESPN, in the National Football League. I already mentioned the lack of weapons they have, the work in progress. Defense could be a sieve at times. And it could be a long year in the nation's capital. So give me the under on the Commanders, 7.5 wins at plus 110, please, and thank you.
I'm going to go over on the Commanders. I don't like it. I hate season-long wing totals, honestly, because injuries, unpredictable. The NFL, unpredictable. I feel like they fall just over this, though. I feel like they go 8-9, and that's me just giving some respect to Jayden Daniels. And I do like the defensive additions they made to this team. Their defense was god-awful last year. They had no pass rush. So they bring in Odafe Owe, who had a big season last year with the with the LA Chargers after coming over from the trade in Baltimore. I love the draft pick of Sonny Styles. Leo Chenal, they don't have a starting spot for Leo Chenal right now. So their linebacking core is stacked. They bring in K'Lavon Chaisson from New England. So I feel like they're going to be able to get after the quarterback. They could have one of the most dangerous pass rushes in football. And because of that, and because of Jayden Daniels, I feel like they could find a way to get themselves to 8 wins. I'd be surprised, though, if this team is a playoff team, because I just think they have a complete lack of offensive weapons that is going to catch up with them at one point or another this season.